Hey, welcome back to The Average Kitchen. Today, not actually gonna cook. It's barbecue season, and who doesn't love to put a dry rub on their protein? So today I'm gonna show you 3 different dry rubs. I'm gonna show you a baby back rib dry rub, a chicken dry rub, and a steak dry rub. So I've got some ingredients. I'm gonna start it with the baby back dry rub, and all of this is gonna be in the description listed below. Jamie's gonna type it out for you so you can print it off or do whatever you wanna do. So we're gonna start it with a mess. We're gonna start it with a 1/4 cup of brown sugar, some salt, approximately 2 teaspoons, 2 teaspoons pepper, 2 teaspoons of paprika, smoked paprika. So 2 teaspoons is roughly a tablespoon. So we'll do, in this case, because I have it here, a tablespoon of paprika. We have a tablespoon of dried parsley. Boom. In teaspoon garlic powder, teaspoon onion powder. And these dry rubs, when you put them together, I just throw them in a Ziploc bag and they'll last a month, month and a half in dry conditions. And you can use them a couple times for the size of recipe that we're making here. Half a teaspoon of cinnamon, half a teaspoon of celery salt, and half a teaspoon of cayenne. And that dry rub is gonna be done. We're gonna give it a quick mix here in a sec. We got some cayenne. Oh, and I forgot, and a teaspoon of dry mustard. So I'm gonna give that a quick mix and break up a couple of the brown sugar chunks. And within a couple minutes, you have a homemade, amazing dry rub. You can buy dry rubs in the store. They're not cheap, but if you're into having spices at home, it's a really quick way to make a really nice, fresh dry rub for, in this case, a nice rack of ribs. Okay, the next one we're gonna do is a smoky chicken dry rub. So we're gonna start out with, again, with some sugar. 1/4 cup brown sugar, 1/4 cup white sugar. That's the plan. White sugar in. Try not to have another fail with this. Brown sugar in. Okay, so now we're going to do a teaspoon of chili powder. We're going to do a half teaspoon of ancho chili. Optional, if you can't find it, it's no big deal, but it really gives a nice smokiness to this one here. Paprika, we're going to do a tablespoon. We're going to do a teaspoon of cumin. We're going to do a teaspoon of chipotle. Again, adds a real smokiness to this one. So that's in. Going to do half a teaspoon of cayenne. And I should say as well, like these dry rubs are pretty universal. It doesn't have to go on chicken. If you love it, put it on your ribs, put it on a pork loin, steak, whatever you like. And then we're gonna finish this one off with a teaspoon of garlic powder and a teaspoon of onion powder. So there's our garlic powder. Finish off with our onion powder. And we're gonna give that a mix. So again, if you're not using it today, you're just making some of these in advance, into a Ziploc bag, push out the air into your cupboard, and it'll sit in your cupboard and last quite a while. Forgot to add my salt and pepper on my chicken rub. So roughly a teaspoon of each. All right, I feel better now. I'm gonna make a sweet heat smoky steak rub. So we're gonna start it with a minimal amount of sugar on this one. So a teaspoon of brown sugar, some red chili flakes, a tablespoon of that, or 2 teaspoons. Now again, they're pretty hot, so if you don't like spicy, reduce them or don't put them at all. Dried parsley, 2 tablespoons. Dry mustard, 1 tablespoon. Ground coriander, 2 tablespoons. 2 tablespoons paprika, smoked. 1, 2, 1 teaspoon cumin. Then we're a teaspoon of chipotle, which again adds a real nice kind of smokiness to your dry rub. And then finally, oh, salt and pepper. Marc almost forgot it again. So about a teaspoon again, salt and pepper. And then we need 3 tablespoons onion powder, 3 tablespoons garlic powder. 1, 2, 3. So I usually replace my spices probably every couple months. So there, is our 3 tablespoons of onion powder. We're gonna give that a mix. How do you apply your dry rub? Some people on some types of meat, like pork for example, will rub it down with mustard, and that helps the dry rub stick and penetrate into your meat, but you don't have to. My recommendation is whatever meat you have, whether it's a steak, I would put a liberal amount, or as much as you like, on the top of your steak. Let it sit for 5 minutes, and that allows that dry rub to kind of soak in and dry on. Flip your steak, reapply the rest of that dry rub. 3 pretty easy, quick dry rubs. I would say you'd be able to use these 3 or 4 times. Maybe the one for the ribs, you'd only get maybe 3 or 4 racks of ribs, but still, pretty affordable way to make a really, really good dry rub. So subscribe, hit the notification bell, and tell all your friends. Thanks for tuning in to The Average Kitchen. We'll see you on the next one. Cheers. No, I'm gonna reword that. So, really good way to make it. All right.